Okay. All right, guys, just recapping why we're doing this. David and I, on our birthday, we were meeting up at Cigar Mas Fino, and we're talking about work, unfortunately. And one of the things he pointed out was that there were some gaps in our process, in our project management process. And for me, when I think about it, I think of it's either the system is broken or we're just not working the system. And so today is just an audit of our system to see if there are gaps. I think there are, but also I'm assuming that there's probably gaps in us where we might not be actually doing the things that we should be doing. And so specifically for identity design and website design, I think it'd be more beneficial just to go to website design, but because identity design is such a smaller project. But what do you guys think we should look at first?
I kind of agree, web design.
Yeah, David, you mentioned we should do identity design as well. Were you?
Yeah, because they kind of tie in, because as it is right now, we have projects that are being due on the same date from identity design and web design, when identity design needs to come first before we can, so we can pull those assets for web design.
Okay.
Or development, I should say.
So
that's one thing we should probably change to development, because one of the confusion Jonah had was like a lot of things say design when it's not really designing anything, it's developing things. So just cleaning up our verbiage too to like industry standard, not just what we've always said, because it's the way we've always phrased it.
Okay, so what we'll do first then is we'll list like our pain points, right? So clean up our verbiage. So, and by that you're meaning like we just because we say something is this doesn't mean that's what it actually is. Mm-hmm. And so like i.e. what?
Like when it's web development, it's listed as design.
Okay, so like design and development, making like a clear distinction between that, because it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know there's some other ones, I just can't remember. I think Jonah probably has a better idea because she's the one that got brought into this.
Yeah, I think UI and then UX.
Yeah, there you go.
Two different things. So it could be like a UI design versus UI as elements for website perspective, or UI elements as a design perspective. And then UX is like, I guess the development of the user experience.
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna put here, clean up the process, or I'm sorry, clean up our verbiage, but also define. So yeah, and this goes with clean up verbiage, but I really want to define what is included in each phase. Specifically, I'm thinking of UX. Just because sometimes, like when I present a UX strategy, I don't have everything that I would hope to expect to present, and then I'm asking like last minute, hey, can you pump these out real quick? What's another pain point? So we're identifying pain points that we're trying to solve in our process.
I think for me, the big thing is like when I'm going to write content for a website, like I don't even have a link to if they had an old website or what a description of the company is sometimes. So that can be really difficult. And then usually everybody's pretty good about putting the wireframes somewhere I can find them. But usually we only have a wireframe for page 1 and then like a list of other pages with headings. Like what was the project? For African American Coalition, we had 2 pages that were like the same thing. And I didn't know, because I didn't create the UX obviously, like what each one is supposed to be. So like a description of what's gonna go on the page from the wireframe would be really helpful for me.
My black is running out. So content writing, parameters and more clear direction. And then I'm gonna put more clear connection to the user experience aspect of it, because content writing and user experience kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, like obviously if it's a contact page, like they're gonna have a phone number, but if there's some other feature that they wanna have on there that I don't know about, I can't write content for it.
Totally.
And that kind of brings up another point where me and Jonah talked about this before, and she said at an old agency she worked at, they would give their developers a lot more to work from. So like they would have all the pages already planned out, like wireframed, and I think you said even design, not just wireframed, right?
Yeah.
Like they
So
have.
I think that goes with the defining UI UX part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you're passing it off to the developer.
Because I know right now my process is I get the homepage design done, and then since I've been the only developer, I just kind of take that
And just run with it. You just do your own thing, and
Yeah.
we're all kind of surprised at the end,
Mm-hmm.
right? So developers need more to work from. All right, and Jonah, you said that is a more clear,
Yeah, from the UI UX.
more complete UI UX.
Yeah. I guess
So
it
so this
depends
will
on-
be complete UI UX as well as content, and by content I'm defining that as words and graphics, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything else? So developers need more to work from, so they're not just guessing as they're developing. They have the general wireframe and sitemap, but they're like, what goes on this page? I don't know, figure it out. And so that strategy should have been designed beforehand, which is the UX, as well as the content that they're pulling from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one's kind of a big one too, because like one of the things Art pointed out the other day too was at his old agency they would either do it right the first time so they don't have to go back and redo it with all the new content. So they'd rather start and collect everything they need rather than make it up, go back and have to kind of redo it or rework it once we receive the items we needed. So I don't know if that's something we want to implement too.
Yeah.
Because I know sometimes
That's
it's
a
hard to
sticky
get
point.
it.
I talked to creatives, and it is kind of split on that. Because if you spend all your time collecting, then you never go to development, because sometimes it's really vague in the client's mind of like, I don't even know really what you guys need from us. And then when they do give it to us, it's like a zip folder with all kinds of content that we have to try to glean from, instead of designing and developing and be like, here, we need a paragraph for this page. And they're like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. I like that process better, to where we say we only want this many words for this section and this is what we're trying to communicate, rather than them send us a zip folder full of a ton of crap and we have to figure out how to extrapolate it from there.
Yeah. I think that the step before we said it's better defining the UX will probably clean that up, because if we have a design to work from beforehand, it'll give the developer a better idea of what the page even needs to look like. Because I think that was one of the hard parts right now, is we don't know what the page is going to look like if we don't have content. So we're just like, okay, I think it's going to have this and this and this.
So one
maybe if we have a
example,
design
I'll pull
beforehand.
up like a development site that we're working on, QK, right? So me and Jonah were reviewing this the other day. And so if we go to like the careers page, I think it's the careers page. Okay, so we have Laura Mipsum right here, right? And so she, as the developer, just put a placeholder photo here, a title, and Laura Mipsum. Ideally, what should happen is in UX, it's told to us, right, that there should be a title, an image, and a paragraph with X amount of words that explains this content, or that is communicating this message, right? And then available positions, right? So like this might change, because what if this is actually like a sentence, right? And so that will change the whole design of that. We actually get rid of a photo. And so the difficult part of this is like coming up with the UX strategy. You have to be thinking with a marketing brain as well. Like what are we trying to communicate? What is the message, right? Are we gonna have a tagline, a value proposition, an elevator pitch? Are we gonna clearly define the process on this page? Or are we just gonna go with an elevator pitch? And so you gotta think of like marketing, but you also have to think of graphic design, which is like a good layout. And then you have to think about functionality. And so I think that, when I do a wireframe, and I think David, when you do wireframes, I think we can kind of do that naturally. But I don't know, that for me, I don't even know how to identify what that pain point is. It's definitely part of like the UX process, but who's doing that, right? Because Liana, she's got to write words, but is she going to be like saying, okay, well, we actually only need this many words for this page? Because then if she comes up with a paragraph and then the wireframe only accounts for like a sentence, then we have to change up our design.
Yeah, I think to me, I'd rather just like work with them when they're coming up with that. to help, like, because if I've already written like the homepage info, then I know pretty well like what's going on with the client already and what's going to go on each page usually. So I don't know though if that's a bottleneck that we have to like.
So does the written content dictate the wireframe, or does the wireframe dictate what we should write?
It depends on which way we go, because to me, like when I look at the big wireframe of the site and I see like just who we serve, how we serve, our work, careers, about us, news. So I can see our work and be like, okay, well, this is kind of a bad example of that because they gave us so much stuff already and they had an existing website. But like if we're starting from scratch for something, I don't know what's going on that headlined page. Like if we have resources, that could be anything. That could be like, here's our blog. That could be, here's links to other websites. That could be a million different things. So just maybe like a clear description.
So when I was going with this, going over this with Jonah, I went over this the other day, and we went back to the strategy. And so actually, let me pull this up real quick. I went to the messaging strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, and from the messaging strategy, this is approved words. And Jonah, by the way, didn't see a lot of this. So this was like our tagline, right? And we're gonna have this kind of like scrolling tagline, this dynamic tagline. Then we had our elevator pitch and our call to action, but then I went to our first thing for employees, right? So I'm thinking of our user persona, which is, this is the person that we're trying to hire, right? What are they interested in? What do they like? And they want to, they're attracting people that they want to work for QK that might be coming in from out of town, that wants a fun, non-corporate environment, right? And so that we take our work seriously, ourselves, not so much. And it's people that are kind of business casual, enjoying food, right? And so that's the vibe that we're getting for the careers page. And so that was our first bit of messaging. And then nobody here wants a job, right? So it's kind of like sarcastic, snarky thing. You know, if you're looking for a place to punch in, do your work, punch out, collect a paycheck, QK might not be the best place for you. We provide our employees with careers where they feel happy, challenged, successful, and empowered to grow. Our leadership deeply cares about and invests in the personal and professional success of our teammates. Nobody here wants a job. Our employees want a meaningful career with work that matters, a team that cares, and leadership that well leads. If you're not looking for a job either, consider joining the QK team, right? So that's our elevator pitch. Here it could be like our hero section. And then I'm going back to not only that, but also the, where is it?
And maybe this could be something that we clean up to.
Yeah, we could clean this up too. So like,
because we have like tons of documents for every client we do this for. There's like one when you initially met, then a revised one from that, and there's like separated notes for other parts, and it's kind of confusing.
So this is what I sent. So it goes discovery, right? So there's discovery. Then there's this whole process of, after discovery, we do our internal review of the discovery notes, right? And so like usually I schedule that within a day or two after I do a discovery session. And this is just all of our brain dump. And then that's where we've assigned everybody, okay, David, you do the UX, Liana create some messaging, and then there is the strategy. And then there's another internal review, right? Because I want to review all of your guys' work before I present it. And then I create 4 documents: messaging, design, user experience, and marketing. Those are the 4 documents that I create. Internal review / revisions, right? Because I'll more than likely have some sort of revisions. And so that's done right here. Then I do reveal, okay? You guys, you are all creating independently your stuff. You send it to me for internal review, then you revise. I take those revisions and I format my own documents, those 4 documents that I create, and that's what I reveal to the client, okay? Once I reveal to the client, I get feedback, and that's in real time. I'm getting feedback in that reveal session. After I get that feedback, I then send it off to the team. And that's every time. I send you guys, hey guys, here was my strategy session with QK. Here's all the documents that we reviewed. Here's the UX, the messaging, the design, and marketing stuff. And I send it off with client feedback. So the only thing that you guys are seeing is this initial internal review of the discovery stuff. That gives you enough to create your strategies. And then after that, you're seeing the more curated or the more developed strategy document with the client feedback. And that's what I give you guys. And in my perfect world, I step out and I'm done.